Hello and welcome to our World Cup special Battle of Champions. And even though the World Cup has started, for Indian fans, it truly starts with their first game on the 8th, which is India versus Australia. And that's the game that we're building up to. Joining me, a man who needs no introduction, a World Cup winner himself in 1983, a legend of Indian cricket in Sunil Gavaskar. Sunil bhai, welcome to the Narendra Modi Stadium.
Thank you.
In Ahmedabad. This place holds a lot of special memories for you. I remember the first man to scale Mount 10K. It happened right here at the ground. Special place for you.
Special place, and also I think the earlier test match against the West Indies in '83, I went past Jeffrey Boycott to become the #1 run getter in Test cricket at that stage. So yeah, very special memories of the Motera cricket ground, which is now the Narendra Modi Cricket Stadium.
All right, what a place, and this is where the India versus Pakistan game is going to be happening now. The biggest cricket ground in the world, 130,000 people can be packed in, and believe you me, not a single seat is going to be empty come India versus Pakistan at the World Cup. What do you make of the venues, Aibai, for a big game like India versus Pakistan? Perfect place, considering you needed to pack in as many people as possible. No bigger place in this.
Yes, because when you look at there are two sort of rivalries which can bring in a full house. England versus Australia, which you normally see at the Melbourne Cricket Ground. You get about 90,000 people over there, which is the Boxing Day Test match. And then India versus Pakistan here, 130,000 people. It is going to be an absolute delight. I think as commentators, we might have to wear those, noise cancellation, earpieces, because otherwise the crowd's noise will not allow you to hear each other.
That was going to be my next question. How is it that the Indian players insulate themselves from the kind of pressure that comes across? I heard stories from the 2011 team. They were all told to wear headphones all the time. We've heard from Rohit Sharma very recently say that he's uninstalled all the social media apps from his phone. He said, all social media posts that you see from now on, my wife is going to handle it. I'm not going to be looking at it. So any sort of tips to insulate yourself from this kind of pressure?
No, I think it is just having a confidence in yourself. Surely, yes, I think the headphones is a very, very good idea. Because, when you get out the team bus and go to the ground, or when you're leaving the ground after the match, you might not have done well, your team might have done well, individually you might not have done well. You don't want to hear any comments, just want to completely forget about it. So I think, and now I think that the boys are experienced. It's not the first time they're going to play in front of big crowds. Wherever they play in India, there are big crowds anyway. When they play the IP, there are big crowds anyway. So I think they have got used to this noise of the crowd.
Talking about not wanting to hear comments, that is what Sunil Gavaskar would do. I'm going to digress a bit. There was a situation once with him sitting in the team bus where comments were coming to you in the West Indies. You chose not to pay attention to those comments, but eventually had to.
Yes, I mean, that's a story in itself, but it was fun. It was fun. But, I think there you are. I mean, those were not the days of headphones and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, you realize that, whoever is trying to tell you something, they mean well. Yes, sometimes they might be a little more sarcastic, they might be a bit sarcastic, but otherwise they mean well, they want you to do well. And because you haven't done well, or maybe because you've got only 80 when they want you to score 150, they are telling you things.
Yeah, so just to give you a bit of context, there was a West Indian fan of Sunil Gavaskar who was telling him to get his eyes checked so that, he can get more runs. So as he says, they mean well. They may be saying something, but they mean well because at the end of the day, all of them are cricket fans. Talking about this particular ground and that India-Pakistan encounter, we don't know exactly how the pitch is going to behave on the morning of the game. But we'll always take reference point to the last game that we saw. And the last game that we saw was a test match that India played versus Australia. That was a belter of a track. If a similar track is given, let's say a good batting friendly track, which you get at ICC tournaments, which is the team that it's going to favor?
I do believe India with its batting lineup, definitely, yes. Because, yes, Pakistan's also got a good lineup. But I'm not too sure about their batters from, say 5, 6, 7, 8. Those batters, we don't really know. With India, you have Hardik Pandya at 6, Ravindra Jadeja at 7. So I do believe that the pitch will definitely be such that you'll see lots of runs, lots of big sixes. We saw that in the opening game as well. Yeah. So clearly, I think over here we are going to get to see plenty of runs.
What do you make of the schedule? Because we're talking about India, Pakistan. Before that, India play Australia in their opener. In between, they have a tricky encounter versus Afghanistan in Delhi, a place which sometimes assists spinners. And we know Afghanistan's strength is spin bowling. How would you, as a player, want a tournament? We know it's a long tournament, but how, as a player, would you want a tournament? Ease yourself in with a couple of maybe slightly easier game and then play the tougher games a little later? Or would you like to take the tougher games, take the bull by its horn, let's face the tougher teams at the start, get off to a good start, and then the tournament gets better?
Yes, I think, see, out of the 3 games that you've got in the first week for India, Australia is the first game, then Afghanistan in the middle, and then Pakistan. If you win 2 of those big games, it gives you the confidence to go ahead for the rest of the tournament. Because clearly, I think before the tournament starts, you as a team, you sit down and you say to yourself, this is a good team, this is a good team, and so we need to really be at our best against these teams. Australia has won definitely. I mean, they won the World Cup so many times. They know how to win the World Cup. So they have won. Pakistan always is Pakistan, India is always big. And England is also, and New Zealand, the way they are playing. So these are 3-4 teams where you identify that this is where you want to really, be at your A game or A plus game. And you win those games, then the other games, so-called, not so competitive teams, you have that confidence that you would want to do even better. In case it comes to a net run rate kind of situation, you want to do well against those teams as well.
The first game, India versus Australia, where do you think that game might go? And luckily, we have the advantage of having seen these 2 teams play a 3-match series. So that will give you an idea. Where do you see that game going?
I think the way India played, without its best team, in the first 2 matches of the series, 3-match series, just tells you the depth that is there in Indian team. So I do believe that India really have the advantage over there. Also, I think in case the ball turns a little bit, then somebody like an Ashwin and Jadeja will be very, very difficult to play on a pitch like that. So I do believe that India start with a slight edge against Australia. Nobody can, because they've got this great ability to bounce back. So you won't take anything away from the Australians. But I do believe that India, in case the pitch starts to help a little bit of spin, India will have the advantage.
Okay, now I'm going to ask you to make a few predictions. I know every time I ask somebody to pick the top 4, that's pretty much the same for most people that I've asked. But I'm going to make it tougher for you. If you had to pick just one team that you think are primed to win the World Cup and the favorite according to you, which is the team you're going to pick and why? What are the reasons?
Well, I'll pick the defending champions, England, because they've got great all-round depth. They've got tremendous batters at the top of the order. I know that in the first game we've seen that they played open with David Malan and Johnny Bairstow with Butler batting down the order. Maybe they might want to look at it because Butler likes the ball to come onto the bat. We've seen him in T20 cricket. He's a destroyer of bowling. Maybe if he can, maybe not 1 and 2, maybe at 3, whatever might make a difference. Also the all-rounders that they've got bowlers who bat. They've got batters who can bowl. And a team that has got a captain that has got that many options, they certainly are, for me, the team to watch out for. With India, just marginally behind.
Okay, so you heard it. The favourites, according to Sunil Gavaskar, are England, just marginally ahead, just got their noses ahead when it comes to the Indian team, which are right next to them. Okay, a prediction for the player of the tournament. We saw 2011 was Yuvraj Singh, 15 was Mitchell Starc, then we saw 19 was Kane Williamson. Who do you think it could be that player who could be the man of the tournament?
I think it depends, obviously, because if you go right till the end, then you have a better chance. So I think if you look at England going right till the end, it could be somebody like Ben Stokes or Sam Curran, again all-rounder.
Yes.
And from the Indian team, it could be either of the top 3 batters and Hardik Pandya. So these are the guys who I think will be the likely candidates for the player of the tournament.
Just looking at the tournament at a macro level, what do you think is going to be the importance of this particular World Cup? Because, there is this talk in cricketing circles that, listen, the ODI cricket is losing its sheen. We don't know what the future holds for it. So this is the chance for ODI cricket to get back those glory days. Do you also see it like that? A lot will depend on this World Cup?
I think the, ODI bilaterals will keep on, reducing. And the World Cup will be the one that, you will see a lot more, in the sense that every 4 years. So I don't think, the World Cup, one day as a game, as a format, will die down. But certainly, I think the bilaterals one days will become less.
Okay, it's going to be an interesting World Cup nonetheless. Lots of rule changes that we've seen from the last time the World Cup was played on Indian soil in 2011. But the good thing for Indian fans, the last 3 editions that we've seen have been won by hosts. So anyway, now we're going to look at a few players, some star players for India, and let's take a look at their record in specific numbers. All right, Saima, we'll start with Rohit Sharma, the Indian captain, showed some good form in that lead up to this World Cup in that series versus Australia. We're looking at his last 10 ODIs. He's got 330 runs, average of 47, and he's got 4 50s as well. Was nearing in on that 100 on a few occasions, couldn't get it. I spoke to Rohit during the Asia Cup, and he said, he's trying to find that balance where he can balance his aggressive instincts as well as try and bat deep. Do you think he's closing in on that balance?
Well, I hope so, because he certainly, 2019 was a fabulous World Cup for him. Like you said, so many hundreds plus so many 50s. I think just the one game that he failed against New Zealand and India lost. So India depended so much on him. And if he can replicate that form or even get half the number of runs that he did in 2019, India will get off to a good start. Because there's a younger man there, Shubman Gill, who's hungry for hundreds. But I think Rohit, playing with him, eases the pressure on Shubman Gill.
Oh, that's very interesting, because Shubman himself has been in fine form. We're looking at Rohit's record in World Cups, 17 matches, got 978 runs. Look at that average of 65. We were talking about those hundreds, 600s in all. 5 of those came in the last edition of the World Cup, which in itself was a big record. So we know that he's a big match player.
He certainly is. And I think that is the reason why India will be hoping that he finds that century habit. It's deserted him. It's been almost about 8 or 9 months since he scored 100 in one-day cricket. So if he can, hopefully he's kept those hundreds for this World Cup as well. He gets 3-4 hundreds, India is going to get lots of runs.
Okay, talking about a big match player, that was Rohit Sharma. We're going to look at Virat Kohli, and there we have his numbers. This is Virat Kohli in World Cups. He's played 26 matches, much more than Rohit Sharma, has got about 1,030 runs. So that in itself is incredible. So he's performing there. And if you take a look at his recent form, he's got 274 runs at an average of 45, 100 and 250. So there was a bit of a question mark about his recent form, no doubting his pedigree, recent form. But I think those doubts have also been laid to rest in what he's been able to do from that Asia Cup onwards.
Definitely, because look, when he came back against the Australians also, he batted really well. Got a half century, looked in very good touch. So no worries about Kohli. Also because, he's the kind of player who thrives in these kind of events, thrives in these kind of competitions. So no worries about him.
If he ever needed, not that Virat anyway needs any sort of motivation, he's always fired up when playing for India, but now that he's just those 200 short of Sachin Tendulkar's record of 49, that itself will motivate him to get a few hundreds.
Yes, definitely, because the earlier, some records like that, the earlier you go past it, because till then, people are coming and telling you, one more. So it just adds to your pressure. Once you get past that, then it'll mean that runs and centuries will keep flowing.
Okay, let's now look at the new young star of Indian cricket, the man who's actually got the most runs for India in this calendar year. So we're taking a look at Shubman Gill, last 10 ODIs, as I was saying, Saibhai. Look at that average of 74.87. He's got 200s, 50s as well, and let's not forget, got a double 100 as well in ODI cricket.
Well, his consistency is amazing, because in this form of the game, particularly at the top of the order, when you have 2 new balls from either end, to be able to have that kind of consistency just tells you the kind of class that he's got. But more importantly, it tells you the kind of run hunger that he's got. He wants to score hundreds. He's not satisfied with 100. He wants to go on and get big runs. And that always augurs well for any team.
Could this be Shubman Gill's World Cup?
Definitely. With the kind of batting that he's, we've seen, with the kind of pitches we are expecting, this could be his World Cup.
All right. No pressure, Shubman. No pressure at all. Just, go out, play on natural game. That's exactly what he's been doing and has been outstanding for India in white ball cricket. Let's not forget, even the IPL, he was the highest run getter. So has been in good form leading into this World Cup. That top 3 of India, possibly the best top 3 that you have in international cricket at the moment. Sunil Gavaskar, thank you so much for taking our time, setting up India's campaign at the World Cup, especially the first few games. As he mentioned, that is what is going to set the tone for India. If you win those 2 games against Australia, Pakistan, India then can go all the way.